Devils Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, presented by pucksandpitchforks.com. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Nick Villano, the editor-in-chief, as we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now on Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. As the offseason continues, lots of rumblings. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios bunkers in both North and South Jersey, covering the Garden State. Talking a little Devils hockey. Lots to talk about. The chatter on social media has been getting louder and louder and louder. And I'd like to say, Nick, it's been the tide is turning, possibly.
So, I know we talk about Russo a lot. I think he let something slip on the Jeff Marek show this week. Did you see his performance on the Jeff Marek show? I called it a performance, but did you see it?
No, I did not. Explain to the audience and me.
So he said a lot, but he said nothing, right? And here's why, for the first time, I'm like, wait. Like, it's all been fun, right, Sam? We've had our fun. You've had your fun. We've all had fun. Right?
I was being serious, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, stop. Yeah, we're all having fun here. Stop it. But Mike Russo said that he's connected with both teams. I assume he means Brisson and Guerin. And they're not revealing anything. Now, that could mean a deal is close, I suppose. But that's not Guerin's type. Guerin is somebody who wants it out there that he's close. He's always been a guy that's like, and everybody's kind of pointing back to the Kirill Kaprizov negotiations from last year but that came down to money, right? The Wild didn't want to pay him. I think it was, he originally wanted, or the Wild originally offered 8 years, $128 million, and it ended up being 8 years, $136 million. Like, it came down to money. He wanted more money. This isn't about money. This is either Bill Guerin thinking he's going to take one last shot at 5 years in training camp and then just give him the 3 at 20. Or Quinn Hughes kind of sees, the situation at hand and says, man, in one more year I could be playing with my brothers. Or I could be playing with my brothers in 3 months. And, you got a taste of that at the Olympics. Here's the thing. If I'm Quinn Hughes, because here's what's changed from the time he said that he's open to resigning. And people ignore the fact that during that, he's like, I'm open to resigning. I want to talk to my family first. People don't bring that part up. He literally said, I want to speak to my family first. Quinn Hughes is not married, so his family is Jack and Luke Hughes and his parents. He's much closer to his parents than he was when he was in Vancouver, but his parents are in New York all the time. So, if everybody's in New Jersey, it just makes life a lot easier. But what's happened this offseason that's been different than previous offseasons where they just go out in the lake and have a good old family time in Detroit is Jack has pulled Quinn up by his bootstraps to have all of these experiences that Jack gets to have, right? So Quinn Hughes is a star in that he's a really good hockey player. Jack Hughes is a star in that he dates Tate McRae and then breaks up and then everybody talks about the breakup, right? Like Quinn Hughes could date Jessica Alba, and I don't think we talk about his breakup, right? Like I just don't like. It's not his personality, But if he gets the experiences that Jack Hughes gets because of his personality and just kind of the je ne sais quoi of Jack Hughes, but doesn't have that's just not his personality. I think that is intriguing to him, and he's not going to get that in Minnesota, right? These experiences that he had, walking out with Morgan Wallen. I know that happened in Michigan, but it's because Jack's the biggest star from the Team USA. The experience of the World Cup, the experience of, and then he gets to go out in New Jersey, and we've talked about this on every podcast, but he gets to go out in New Jersey and just kind of hang out and still be kind of relatively he's not private. He's still a big star, but people don't bother him they probably do in Minnesota for celebrities and things like that. And I'm sure he dealt with that a lot more in Vancouver. Vancouver is pretty, fanatical about their hockey players. Minnesota's not that crazy, but he can go out in New Jersey and just have a good time. He can go on the Jersey Shore and go to the bar with Gen Pop and be fine, but he still gets all this VIP treatment. He still gets these experiences. Are you telling me that if Jack Hughes isn't Quinn Hughes' brother, that Quinn Hughes is walking out with Morgan Wallen? No, right? That's not happening. So if he could come and be lifted by the star power of Jack Hughes immediately, well, everyone's in their prime, right? And that's the other thing. I hear a lot of Minnesota Wild fans be like, our present and our future is much better than yours. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You have one guy, Kaprizov's 29, 30? In the middle of his prime, right? And the back end is coming, and you're going to be spending $17 million a year each one of those years for 8 more years, through a lot of his, twilight years. Matt Boldy, sure, he's 25 years old. Just had his best season. Good for you. That's great. But if you take Quinn out, if you take Quinn out of the equation, I think Brock Faber is a Quinn Hughes merchant. He got, and good for him for being to play up to that level. Not everybody can do that. He clearly has a skill. But if you take Quinn Hughes off this team, Brock Faber is a third of the player that he is. And I could say the same thing. Because if you put Quinn Hughes on the Devils, I think Brett Pesce is 2 times the player that he would be without Quinn Hughes. But I think I don't think Brett Pesce is as good as Brock Faber, obviously. But I think Brett Pesce can step up with a guy like Quinn Hughes. And then you have a really interesting dynamic if you're the Devils. Because I think a guy, either a Dylan or a Siegenthaler would be in the trade. Because you got to get rid of, you can't have 5 left-handed defensemen. You got to get rid of them. And Sonny Maeda really likes Declan Chisholm. If I'm Sonny Maeda, you got to get rid of Dylan or one of them, either in that deal or in another deal before the season. You don't want you already have a logjam on defense a little bit. You don't want to deal with what you dealt with last year with Nemitz and Hamilton and all this and Kovacevic and this nonsense. So what would happen? So here's, I think Mercer would also be in the trade. So that you'd come out of it with cap space, still, right? Whether Dylan or Siegenthaler goes to a different team or goes to Minnesota, you'd come out of it with cap space, and you can make a move for a Dylan Larkin, right? Some other things would have to fall into place. You'd probably lose Cody Glass in that trade just to make the contracts work, unless you somehow got rid of, one of your superstars like Dougie Hamilton. But you don't have to. You can make it work other ways. That said, when I look at the Wild roster without Quinn Hughes, and I look at the Devils roster without Quinn Hughes, I'm trying really hard not to be biased, but you don't have to go through the Central with Colorado and Dallas and Utah and who's the other up-and-coming team there? It's not Chicago. It's not St. Louis. I'm missing one, but Utah's the up-and-coming team.
Yeah.
Colorado's a juggernaut. Dallas is a juggernaut. And they just re-signed Jason Robertson, so they're stacked again this year. Minnesota might be a first-round exit. Again, even with this stacked team, because when you look at them, when I compare the roster to Colorado and Dallas, they're third. And I'm trying really hard not to be unbiased. Like, I think they have a better top three than both of those teams. A better top three than Dallas and a better top three than Colorado. Well, no, they don't have a better top three than Colorado. So they have nothing better than Colorado except for goalie. Right? Like the Wedgwood Blackwood situation is a little iffy. But the Gustafsson Walston thing isn't exactly Igor Shesterkin. You know what I mean? Like you don't have a superstar goalie yet. I just like everybody's like, well, he wants to win. Well, he didn't win there. He won 1 second-round game. It's like, well, Joel Alexander Eck got hurt. We didn't have a center. You didn't fix that. You have no cap space, and you didn't fix that. You still don't have a center. If Joel Eriksson Ek gets hurt, you're praying that Charlie Stramel, who's a rookie, or Daniil Yurov can step up, and there's nothing that says that they could. You're Maxim Shabanov, who was terrible on the Islanders last year. Terrible. Is your first line right wing. You're putting all your eggs in this basket that is a poor man's Nikita Gusev. This team is so shallow. One injury could make them miss the playoffs. And it could be an injury to 5 different guys. If they lose Kaprizov, Boldy, Joel Eriksson Ek, Quinn Hughes, or one of their goalies, they might miss the playoffs entirely. Because it's a house of cards. This is a house of cards roster. Bill Guerin did a terrible job building this roster. He just did. And maybe this is what happens when you got to pay somebody $17 million a year, but then you're going to pay Quinn Hughes $20? You know, the Devils are paying Jack Hughes $8. So that's another $9 million they get to spend on somebody. That's a whole Timo Meier, you know, plus some that they get. And you know, I just look at the rosters. It's a game changer if the Wild somehow get Dylan Larkin. But I just don't see it. And, I kind of – no, I didn't skip it. So what Russo said was that essentially he hasn't heard anything from either side. Essentially, nobody's talking to him. So what that means is that nobody's talking. If Bill Guerin's not talking to Russo, he's not talking. And if he's not talking, I don't think he likes where this is going. And if he doesn't like where this is going, like there's a reason why Elliot Friedman came out and said, this is when I'm not worried yet, but this is when I'll be worried. He didn't qualify last time. He was like, no, he's signing 3 for 18. But that was in April, I think. He said that. He said the same thing. He's like, I still think 3 for 18, but I'll be worried if he doesn't sign, you know, by game 1. And here's the thing, Sam, is that I at first thought Bill Guerin would never trade him to the Devils. That was always my thought. I was like, he'll trade him to anybody else. He doesn't want to come off like this guy. But he really likes being Team USA GM. And Quinn Hughes is still going to be the best defenseman in America for the 2030 Olympics. He'll still probably be the best defenseman in America. And the Hughes brothers are, you said this on Twitter, I think, that the Hughes family is more important to Team USA than Bill Guerin is. I have to say, like, Bill Zito's on that staff, and Bill Zito's a better GM than Bill Guerin. So Bill Guerin got the gold medal, but we have to call it a spade a spade. He got the gold medal because he picked Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck really won them the championship. Good on Bill Guerin for calling Jack Hughes and saying you're on the team, and you know when he hurt his hand. So as long as you're healthy, you're on the team. Good. That was a smart move by him, and it worked out because you know he scored the golden goal. Jack Hughes thrives off that type of confidence. I think that went a long way I think Sonny Maeda came in and said all the right things. Because I do think there was some concern when Tom Fitzgerald was still here. The things that you heard people saying, Nico Hischier especially, the change in demeanor on Nico Hischier from when Fitzgerald was fired to the end of the season press conference, the locker closeout press conferences, to when he signed and he did media then. The difference there, night and day. And I think that's why the sentiment has completely changed. I think everybody's believing what everybody's picking up what Sonny May is putting down. I think a lot of people told him we're frustrated that the goaltending kind of shit the bed all season. And that really put us behind. And he knew, I can't go in here with Jacob Markstrom again. I could think that Jacob Markstrom's going to bounce back to the top 10 goalie, but I can't take that risk because my team doesn't believe in him. I think things like that happen where the team's like, oh, so I said something to you and then you did something about it. I think a guy like Jack Hughes thrives off having a little power, right? And I think, and I've said this a lot, and I don't know if I said it on here, but I know I said it in articles on Twitter. I don't think Jack Hughes goes anywhere where he's second fiddle. I think he likes the structure of the Devils. I could be the star in New Jersey. I'm the guy Fanatic signs. I'm the guy everybody wants his autograph. I'm the guy people are fanatic over. But the team's still going to protect me. You go to Minnesota, that's Kaprizov. I think the fan base would be more behind Boldy. I think it's just a Minnesota guy. If you go to Florida, you're trying to compete with the Tkachuk brothers to try to be that star. You're trying to compete with, Barkov. I think Barkov's a little bit more like Nico. But, you're competing with the Tkachuk brothers, and it's kind of like their show. If you go to Vegas, it's Jack Eichel's team, and there's a couple other guys there that really kind of take the air out of the room. I think Jack likes the structure, which is why he's given the Devils so many chances. He likes, being the guy. He likes New Jersey. He's made that very clear. And I think Sonny Maeda coming in and really putting this team on the right track has the streets talking. Right? It's nothing useful. I'll say that. None of my good sources are talking. But people are talking, and Russo said he hasn't heard anything. Those two things have me saying, well, I'm listening at least. I'm curious. And this is the first time I've been truly curious since this has started. I've always said, I think Quinn Hughes is going to resign. I think he's going to sign for 3 years. They're going to match with Jack. The Devils have 4 years to pitch this to him. And he can ask for a trade at any point, right? He could sign him for the $20 million and ask for a trade. And then maybe ask Minnesota to retain some salary. Again, the dumbest narrative that's come out of this, Sam, is that Quinn Hughes owes it to Minnesota to resign there because they gave up so much for him. Really? I think Bill Guerin owes it to Quinn Hughes because Quinn Hughes got him a gold medal. How about that?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
All those guys, he owes it to Jack Hughes to send him his brother because Jack Hughes is the reason that you got gold around your neck, Bill. He owes it to Bill Guerin to resign. Are you kidding me? He didn't ask to go to Minnesota. He asked to not go to Minnesota. He didn't ask to not go to Minnesota. That's a mischaracterization of the facts.
So let me get this straight. Mike Russo said this?
Mike Russo said that both Brisson and Guerin, he said both sides. He didn't name them, but he said both sides, which we know what he means, have been essentially lock and key on information. They'll talk to him and they'll give him nothing, which tells me that something's happening, that they don't want to get out and they're trying to work out. I think that Guerin's like, this thing has gotten away from me and I had to get it back. And that's where I think it is. I think it's gotten away from Guerin. That doesn't mean that Quinn Hughes is getting traded to the Devils. That doesn't mean that he's getting traded before training camp or during training camp. Or I think that Guerin's going to throw everything he can at Quinn Hughes. Here's the problem. I don't think Quinn Hughes wanted this. I think Quinn Hughes always thought, I'm just going to sign on July 1st. And then a lot of things happen. I think if Bill Guerin gave him 3x20 on July 1st, I think if Bill Guerin gave him 3x18 on July 1st, this would have been done.
I'm completely opposite. I think the 3-year thing is BS from the start. I don't think Quinn ever wanted it. It only favors Minnesota. It does not fit Quinn Hughes if he truly wants to play with his brothers. I never believed the Elliot Friedman idea. It started off with an idea in April.
I do think that Quinn felt a certain type of. I think Quinn really likes Bill Guerin or liked
that. I won't dispute.
And I think he really had an open mind about this. I think Bill Guerin, because listen, Bill Guerin and Tom Fitzgerald feel like cut from the same cloth. And I think he tried to come into this like any old negotiation, where the GM has the power. And he let it go, and he let it go. And I think we heard a little bit of that from Leopold, right? Where it's like, well, we really want 5 or 8 years, but Quinn wants 3.
I think that's even BS. The entire time I was literally the only one. The only one that was like calling BS. All the reporters around the National Hockey League basically regurgitated what Mike Russo was reporting. And what
but I think Guerin said it.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I think he said one of these interviews.
But one of the most recent ones. No, I'm talking about the owner. When the owner stepped up to the plate,
the 3 years thing. I think he said it in one of the recent interviews. I think Guerin said it.
Recent?
Yeah, he did like 2 or 3 interviews.
Yeah, but I'm talking about May 28th. I'm talking way before all that. I wasn't buying any of it because still today none of this even makes sense at all. If he truly wants to play with his brothers, and I made this point many times, and some of the people on X made the point, if there was ever a time that the 3 Hughes brothers could be under one team, it's probably now. There is no way Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes in their prime, and also, Quinn Hughes in his 30s can all fit under one team. It's almost impossible unless they all take a pay cut, a major pay cut. You're talking about $60 million AAV for 3 players in 4 years or higher. Mm-hmm. The economics don't work. The numbers don't work. Anything can happen in 3 years, really 4 years, because you got the 1 year left on his contract plus 3. In 4 years, anything can happen. Jack could get hurt, never play again, God forbid. Anything can happen. And all Minnesota fans and the media too have forgotten about Luke Hughes. There's another brother in this equation who hasn't lived up to his potential yet, but I think he will very soon as a New Jersey Devil, committed that 7-year contract. Nobody's talking about that. So all this stuff, everybody likes to throw their ideas out online, Nick. Everybody likes to whatever. But I'm still not buying it. And I stuck my good name out in the line. Yeah, a little bit trolling. But not one. It's a result-oriented business. Oh, wait till September. The goalposts have moved so many times. I think I'd tell you what happened. We live in a different world than we did back when the Minnesota Wild got eliminated out of the playoffs. Things are different now. As time passed, things happen. Then, I truly believe Quinn Hughes had an open mind to the whole thing. But when it comes down to it, when you hang out with family and you spend a little time with your brothers, they spend a lot of time, and just let things decompress and then see things in a rational manner, he's probably like, economically, this doesn't make sense and doesn't hit my family goals of playing with my brothers. None of it does. And this whole notion that somehow Sonny Maeda is going to trade Jack Hughes for practically nothing to Minnesota is an absolute joke. And everybody forgot about Luke.
Well, yeah, and that's funny. I wrote this yesterday because somebody wrote that terrible Jack Hughes trade that was like surrounded by Danilo Yurov, and they called it "Devils get a haul for Jack Hughes." I made the joke that doesn't even get you Ellen Hughes, like a package surrounding Danilo Yurov. Like Danilo Yurov ceiling is like a 25 goal guy. I think it's a ceiling. I think everything goes right, he's a 25 goal guy. I just don't. He's just not a great prospect or a great young player. Stramel, I like. I do like Stramel. Who they have, I think he's a good prospect, and kind of think they should just put him first line like they like Henrique or Nico.
But I don't even know why we're even talking about this, Nick. I'll be honest with you. I mean, after Jack Hughes.
I'm gonna. Well, hold on, because if you've read pucksandpitchforks.com, you see that I wrote an article in jest, but serious and in jest at the same time, about 5 teams that would blow a Minnesota Wild trade out of the water. Like, blow it out of the water. Like, 4 pieces better than Danilo Yurov, or a superstar piece in return that they'd be very willing. Like, I think if just to tease the article a little bit, I think if Sonny Maeda called Montreal, I think they'd be happy to give up Ivan Demidov for Jack Hughes. I think they'd add to Ivan Demidov to get Jack Hughes. So, like, Demidov is a much better piece than Yurov. Honestly, some think that Demidov would be a better piece than Boldy. I don't. I like Boldy, but Demidov is signed to an incredible contract for years and expected to grow into a superstar. But they give that up to get to put Nick Suzuki, Jack Hughes down the middle. Montreal would give that up in a second. In a second. You could talk to Dallas. I think Dallas would give up Rupe Hintz very easily. You could get Hintz and Robertson and then give them that contract, right? Like I think they would do that to get Jack Hughes. I think teams would line up with money in their hand, shaking it. We forget when everybody came back from the Olympics. How many players had more points than Jack Hughes from the Olympic break to the end of the season?
Just one.
Connor McDavid. Jack, this is a small sample size. This is basically 2 months. Like a month and a half. Because I guess it was only like 2 games in February. This is a superstar player. This is a guy with 120-point upside. I think that Jack Hughes could have a career very similar to Crosby from here on out. Where Crosby dealt with injuries, we all kind of thought that, he hit his ceiling already. We already know what he is. Injuries are just going to continue to take up his career. Jack Hughes doesn't have concussions either. Right? When you think of the greats, knock on wood.
Yeah, thank you.
But, when you think of like the Lindrosses, the Koreas, like their careers were shortened by concussions. Jack Hughes is very, 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 very good at not getting hit. Like when you look at his hits taken, it's a surprisingly low number. So, I know the shoulder thing is frustrating. Last year's was dumb, right? He cut his hand at a restaurant. The year before, Jack Eichel hit him illegally, right?
Yeah.
It was the year before that was the fluke that you don't like. But the last 2, it just kind of stinks that it happened, right? It's not that he is injury prone. It's just that he got put in bad situations. Anyway.
I would agree with that. But again, back to my point about like all these Jack Hughes trades, whatever. After the Olympics, he's untouchable. You do not trade. Like, Why would Sonny made it? Oh, Bill, I know I'm gonna help you out here. I'm gonna trade Jackie. Like these fans and people speculating. Like it's nonsense. Like when I say that Quinn Hughes is not going to sign an extension, I have bullet points why, and they're valid. This is contract negotiations. A lot of the things that has happened in the past 2 to 3 months, things change. And the longer it goes, and I said this a couple months back, and I could probably reference a post that I put, the longer it goes, the environment changes. And now we are in mid-August. Now, to be in fairness to all these Minnesota Wild fans, they'll say, well, they did this to Kaprizov, but totally different situations. Totally different situations. So...
And we do have to acknowledge, like, there was a death in the family that could have put things on pause. So, like, we do need to acknowledge that part that, if you're a Minnesota Wild fan, be like, I would hope Bill Guerin isn't poking him, trying to get him to sign a contract, while his family's grieving. So, there's that. But if I'm a Minnesota Wild fan, I'm sweating bullets every day of training camp. Every single day. And maybe everybody will get their wish. They can come in your mentions and they can come in my mentions and say, see? I told you. But I'll say it. I said it then, I'll say it now. I want Quinn Hughes. I'm not going to lose sleep if we don't get him.
No,
we don't have him.
I wouldn't. Although I did buy the jersey, his Minnesota Wild jersey.
Right, yeah. If you ruined the streak for that would be upsetting. But that's about it.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyways,
it's a fun thing we do, but it's amazing how 5 days ago I got this jersey, and now things are really starting to rumble. I don't think that's a coincidence.
The last 5 days have been interesting.
Yeah, but it's
changed.
Yeah, but all honesty, with this whole thing, I wouldn't lose sleep over it because I'm in the mindset of he's not going to sign an extension and he's coming to New Jersey Devils within a year. That's my mindset. Whether he gets traded to another team and another team uses him as a rental, I just pray that they don't overuse him and then he's suddenly damaged goods. That's
which the Wild are doing. They're playing him 30-something minutes a night.
Yeah. So
not penalty kill.
Yeah. So right now it's like wait and see. But I already know the answer. He's not going to sign an extension. I already know. I already knew it for a while, but it just none of this makes sense. Now, getting back to Mike Russo not hearing from both parties. Well, I just feel like both parties, more of the Minnesota Wild and Bill Guerin, has been using Mike Russo and his platform as a sounding board, with the message to the fans. And I think if I were the Minnesota Wild, especially with the owner back in June, I would have kept my mouth shut on all of it.
He regrets that terribly.
Yeah.
He regrets that. Let me ask you this, and then we can kind of do plugs. Do you think Quinn Hughes knows who you are?
Me personally?
Well, first of all, I think Jack and Luke know of you. You're on the big stage, right? They know there's a guy on the big stage on Edison Place.
They might have. It's hard to say because I've met all the parents. I've been in the players, family, lounges, at the Prudential Center. It's hard to say. I've been very critical of Jack Hughes, but more in a tough love way, where it's kind of an accountability way. I love Jack Hughes. I always have. And it was frustrating when, there was a period of time where it just almost looked like he wasn't trying. But I think right now I love the Jack Hughes after the Olympics. Not because he won the Olympics, it's because he loves New Jersey. That speech he made came from the heart. And I think what I love about Jack Hughes right now, and this is important, was we were very critical of his public speaking. When Jack Hughes is himself, he's the best amongst all of them, in my opinion.
He's been media trained since he was like 12 years old or something.
Yeah.
So like you're gonna get robotic answers to the media, but he's different with like Friedman and LeBron and like the national guys than he is with us. You know, I say us, like
I think it's
Nichols,
more of a trust. I think it's more of a trust factor. You know, so
even when he talks to Stein, you know, there's trust there. Obviously, he works for the team. It's just not going to make him look bad, but I just don't think he's that interested in it.
Yeah.
I think he looks at it as like my time is worth so much, and like that's, you know, I don't want to like disparage the guy. I feel like that's almost like a negative thing, but I think he thinks that he's like, you know, I could build my star with Friedman. I could build my star with LeBron and guys like that, but you know, because he doesn't do exclusives, even with like Peter Baugh or Nichols, right? You know, you don't hear that. He doesn't do the Let's Go Devils podcast or the Rink Report or whatever the heck is out there right now. So I think I'd
rather him not, to be honest with you. I'd rather have him focus on the ice. To be really honest with you.
I mean, if an interview is taking your focus away from the ice, then you shouldn't be an NHL player. But that's neither here nor there. But all right, that's all I got, Sam. I'm ready for plugs if you are.
Yeah, go for plugs.
I didn't expect this to be the Quinn hour. I didn't, but kind of worked out that way.
The title was Rumblings, and that's been rumbling.
It's fair. It's fair. PucksandPitchforks.com. I wrote a story about why Sonny Maeda has done a better job setting this team up for Quinn Hughes if he becomes available. 800 words on it. Really broke it down. What Sonny Maeda has done right. All the things that he's set this team up to get Quinn Hughes, and if he wants to, go get Quinn Hughes' friend Dylan Larkin. Like he can make it work. There's some maneuvering he would have to do, but he can make it work. I also did the 5 teams that could blow the Minnesota Wild out of the water for Jack Hughes trade. It's all in good fun. It's nothing real. I don't want or think Jack Hughes is going to get traded, but there were a couple, Sam, I was like, you know, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we were in this situation. But again, I love having Jack Hughes on this team. He's a star. He's great at hockey. Let's keep he's going to win a Stanley Cup one day if you put the right team around him. And putting Quentin Hughes on the team is the first step to putting the right team around him. We got stories from JB Gambatis. JB Gambatis, Sam, was on the Dmitry Filipovich show today.
Wow.
So go check him out there. Listen to our podcast, then go check out JP Gambatis representing Pucks and Pitchforks on the Dmitry Filipovich show. He's going to be a recurring guest in there during the season, so I'm really excited for him with that. But he's writing for PucksandPitchforks.com. He's going to have a story on Quinn Hughes as well. He's going to write about the he owes him something narrative. So I'm really excited to read that article. That one's going to come out sometime in the next few hours. But yeah, we got writers all over the place. We got people putting pen to paper, and life is good in Pucks and Pitchforks land.
Yeah. The only thing I got to plug is what's happening on X at Let's Go Devils Pod, at Pitchforked Puck, PucksandPitchforks.com's X account, plus at Primetime Sam Wu, State of Trolling. That's what we're doing. State of Trolling, you know, the state of hockey, you know, this Minnesota Wild fans. Oh, such a wild slogan. State of Trolling. A lot of trolling going on. Good banter. All that kind of good stuff. Someone put out there the State of the Troll Address or the Troll Report. Trying to be funny. Yeah, the Troll Report. That should be the next thing. The Troll Report. Here on the Let's Go Devils podcast network. That would be kind of funny, actually. But that would require a lot of online, you know, being on your phone and watching what goes online. And
we got lives.
Yeah, we definitely do. Anyway, you can find me on X at Primetime Sam Wu. And yeah, so thank all those tuning in I see a lot of the comments, and trying to hit the button here, Nick. Oh, found it. Sorry. Different board today. Trying to get used to it. Well, it's day 5 since I received the Quinn Hughes Minnesota Wild jersey. How long will it take before Quinn is traded? We shall see. But keep it here. Let's go to the podcast network and pucksandpitchforks.com. All right, getting out of here. Thank you, everybody. Till next time, let's go Devils.